today in Craft Stories, I'm talking to Aristides, and he's running Aristides Distilling on Cyprus.
Meet Aristides. On the Mediterranean island of Cyprus, he is harvesting special ingredients like local juniper berries called ioratos and Greek mountain tea. He then turns these ingredients into a very special gin in his newly built Aristides Distillery. Not satisfied with just one gin, Aris and his wife Mariana created the Angelica Blue Gin and are now working on new and exciting spirits capturing the heart and soul of Cyprus.
Welcome.
Hi.
So what was the moment you decided I'm going to be a craft distiller?
The moment I decided to become a craft distiller is after I joined a distiller in the Ozark Mountains in Missouri. One night where it was snowing and raining, and it was a miserable weather outside, and we were inside distilling the most wonderful rum. The batch from that night I still have on my desk. It was the moment I decided that distilling is going to be in my life. But I also had from that moment on. But I also had some other alarm bells ringing off from time to time throughout my life. But that was the deciding moment where it was now I'm going to become a distiller. That happened in 2008 in Missouri, USA.
All right. So that was the spark, Missouri, USA, and that special night gave you the spark to become a craft distiller on your own. Mm-hmm. But how did you end up in Missouri? What happened there?
Well, I was working my previous job developing code behind the computer, and then I realized that slowly but steadily my vision became impaired. With age that comes as well. So that shook me a bit, and I thought to myself, I better get off the chair and do something else right now. So I started creating sausages. I started creating cheese. I started creating. Went into brewing, and then I went into distilling, and I said, "Wow, that's very interesting. Distilling has something there that reminded me of my childhood, and that's the moment when I decided I'm going to look for help. Somebody needs to teach me how to move from this point further." So I contacted the ADI, American Distillers Institute, and asked for advice. What do? I want to become a distiller. So they sent me to this distiller out in Missouri, who I then befriended and then became partners with. We started working together. He showed me a lot of his techniques in making very good rum and very good whiskey. And but we were working with the old school methodology, with the old school equipment, open fire, and copper stills, whiskey stills, and the whole 9 yards there. So it was very hard work, but at the same time very, very, very rewarding.
Okay, so that was the start for you, becoming a distiller, learning that. And what happened afterwards? You presumably you left the United States. Now you're back
Yes.
in Cyprus.
At some point, I had to decide whether, I was going to pursue being a distiller in the U.S. or come to Cyprus and start working on developing spirits from the local ingredients. That's what, together with some family reasons, I found that package more appealing than staying there, because it's not only a challenge to start a craft distilling business in Cyprus, which there aren't any, from scratch. It's also a challenge to find, to develop, and to show in your spirits the local influence. It was easy to do that because right now at the beginning with gin, because that requires botanicals and herbs and fruit, and Cyprus is just full of it. Yeah, there's so much here to work with, which is like, you go crazy. You don't know what to start with. But with your help as well, we were able to come up with some very, very, very unique recipes, which people are starting to enjoy and to also admire. Um, it's a shock for many people in Cyprus to taste gin made here, which compares to the gin they pay, I don't know how much, at the store to buy, and says, "Oh my goodness, you can stand up to these guys, and you're made here." We love it. It's other feelings kick in as well. It's little Cyprus can, which is very important for a small place like this one. This feeling is missing, and it's very enjoyable for me to see it in their faces. The satisfaction, not only of tasting something nice, but the satisfaction that this was made 20 miles from their house, 40 miles from their house. Anyway, not more than 100 miles, because that's about the size of the island.
Yes. Were you already making gin in the United States, or was it something that you decided to do when you got back to Cyprus, and something you did with us at iStill here when you went to the course?
Well, the course at iStill opened my eyes to many things. Together with what I brought with me, it helped me make some things possible where I thought that they would not be possible. It's not only the technology, it's also the amount of energy, whether that energy translates into time or money or actual physical energy altogether, that I saved by thinking and adopting the iStill philosophy. That helped me a lot. It made things possible, and that was the moment where actually I saw the light at the end of the tunnel. Because whether you believe it or not, if you don't start working towards a goal, even if you don't have all the answers, but you start working, that's the only time when you are actually going to either deliver or say that this is infeasible, it's not possible. And the aha moment was after I met you guys over there at iStill, and saw how I can realize this idea, this project, without I don't know, killing myself in the process, or bankrupting myself in the process, or you know, facing all kinds of obstacles that I don't know how to overcome. There are a lot of obstacles that I was able to overcome, and focus on what really matters, which is making good spirits. That's the bottom line. Making good spirits. Nobody can tell you this is a good spirit or not. You see it only when you give your bottle to somebody who you don't know. They tried, and you see a smile on their face. And if you see a smile on their face, and they go back for it for a second time or a third time, then you know it worked. That person is mine now. He knows that this is a great product, and he's going to tell his friends and their friends, and they're all going to come back. And that's another aha moment there.
I remember when you came over to work on the recipe together, and you brought all these wonderful botanicals from Cyprus. And when we did the final recipe, there was a big smile on my face, and I still remember it. It's a very, very special gin. So
Yes.
let's talk a little bit more about it. You already said it's with local botanicals, a lot of local botanicals.
Mm-hmm.
Apart from that gin, what other products are you working on at the moment? What have the people of Cyprus to look forward to?
Well, it's summer now. Summer in Cyprus is really hot. 40 degrees Celsius, 43 sometimes, even more. So anything refreshing, anything that goes into a glass with a lot of ice is preferred. We are working on a second gin recipe, and there's going to be a third one. I don't know. There's something about the trilogy that I like. Three is a nice number, I think, and that would be the amount of gin that we're gonna do for now. The next step would be already gathered a lot of grain, local grain, that I gave seeds to the farmers who grew it, and instructions of what to use and what not to use. So, and that was a big surprise for me to see their willingness to help out. So I have I have two barleys, a 2-row and a 6-row, waiting to be malted in November. And I will be working also on a rum, which will contain carob molasses. Carob is a wonderful tree that grows these pots that contain a lot of sugar. Once these pods are harvested and sun dried, they become very almost dark, like very dark brown. And the seeds are separated. Seeds are used to make vinyl, like for records. The rest is ground up, boiled, and we make molasses out of it. And the idea came to me in 2009, actually, when I ordered from Amazon in the US a bunch of carob molasses, and I started fermenting.
All right.
So one of the reasons why I came back is because I wanted to work also with carob molasses to make I don't know if I can call it a rum, but a rum style type of spirit, which I actually did, and it's waiting there for me to pick it up. So yes, whiskey, rum is in the pipeline. We have world famous potatoes in Cyprus, which may or may not become my inspiration for a vodka. I don't know. We'll see where my masochism takes me.
You already said it's about the local products, it's about local ingredients. And I get the idea. It's also about being in a community. You working with the farmers together, making sure it's all part of the story, part of the community, part of the island. Did that influence the way you set up your distillery?
Yes, in the sense that the technology allows me the flexibility. You know, the iStill technology that I'm using provides me with enough flexibility to be able to work almost with anything. It's not a column still, it's not a pot still, it's whatever I want. So there you go. I mean, depending on what my source is and how much flavor I want to get out of it, I have my solutions. The fermentation, as as you all know, the distillation is a process, and you have to be there controlling all the variables from the beginning all the way to the end in order to get the best product you can possibly make. So by being next to the farmer and being next to the carob producer and being next to the botanicals grower and then being next to the forestry department that allows us to go out and forage, being next to all these people and talking to them and making them understand what our philosophy is and sharing our success with them, I think is key to making a very good product.
Yeah.
You know, Cyprus is a small place. I mean, we cannot compete in quantities. We cannot compete in prices. We cannot compete in heavy industry. We have plenty of sun. We have volcanic soil. We have wonderful beaches. And we have crazy people that want to do something new and something strange that nobody has been doing around here, and try out giving back to the community in that way. And I think that resonates with people.
Your distillery is up and running. You're producing. Could you tell us some more about the layout of your distillery? What does it look like?
Well, it's setting up at the beginning. All the considerations are about minimizing running costs. And anybody who's listening and wants to get into the business, unless you have extremely deep pockets, that's my advice. Small steps, good steps, but try to minimize your running costs. So instead of investing an X amount in or something that is not really necessary, I would invest in solar panels. We have photovoltaic panels because our iStill works on electric power. I did 5, 6 distillations the past 2 weeks, and my bill was 38 euros. So, it's running costs. You want to minimize them, right?
Yes.
So you have to invest smart. We did not decide to go in a very big place. Started small, but we're making sure that we have space on left and right to grow into. So again, minimizing running costs. On what really matters with distillation, which is basically the still technology, fermentation, cooling, and so on and so forth. There, we went very large, as large, of course, as we could. So we didn't want to start small. We started with a bigger size still, so that we can grow into it rather than grow out of it very quickly and then run around trying to catch our feet with a bigger still. So and that's different from building a large place, and rather have a bigger still than a large place. So these are the parameters that we have in mind. We have a small place, 150 square meters approximately, two fermentation tanks of 5,000 liters, our iStill 2,000 liters, a small lab area where we do all our experiments, cooling system for the fermenters, ample water supply for our cooling with regards to the iStill, and a lot of elbow grease to move things around.
Also, well, you mentioned could be during the summer 40 degrees Celsius.
Mhm.
Do you run into trouble with your cooling water or the distillation when it's that hot?
We keep the tap water will be around 20 degrees, which is okay. We have an extra tank of water sitting outside in the shade always. So that would be 25 degrees. But we usually distill at night, where the sun is down, it's really cool, and things are more under control in terms of temperatures don't go crazy. Of course, we have the pre-cooler, which helps a lot in our case, installed, and we have two sources of water, so that we don't rely on one source, which might affect the pressure of the water. So so far so good. We were able, whatever issues we had, we were able to solve them.
All right, so you're basically collecting energy during the day with the solar panels and then distilling at night, making use of colder water.
Yeah, yeah. The Cyprus Electricity Authority allows us a certain amount of kilowatt photovoltaic panels to be installed, and whatever that you produce goes into the grid, and you're credited for it. So I am saving a lot of electricity this way for winter, where there's less, when there's less sun. So that way we accumulate, a large number of kilowatt hours that we can then I go ahead and use during winter, which is really convenient for us.
I can imagine it is. Going back to when you started out in the USA, doing those first distillations, learning everything there, you said it was very old equipment, the old-fashioned way, so open fires or copper stills. And now you're on the other side, you're into the 21st century using the iStill technology. How does it compare?
I think you were there when, and you saw the shock written all over my face when you and Odin were explaining things to me, and I was like, oh my God, I had it all wrong all this time. Of course, I was also brave enough to, admit that, there's myth, there's folklore, there's, tradition disguised as myth, that complicates things.
Yes.
People are sometimes not ready for, they cannot take change in big chunks, and have to doubt about things before they come to the realization that, wow, it's all about science at the end of the day. So I had to adjust to that, and I admit it was very hard for both of us, because Mariana, my wife, is my partner in business as well, not only partner in life, who's more involved with the marketing, the promotion side of things. I couldn't have done anything without her, of course. And the how do we get away from that story of the romantic copper pot still of the folksy guy that resembles the moonshiners in the Ozark Mountains, doing their thing and doing their magic and coming up with this drink that we all enjoy. So we had to reinvent it. We had to reinvent it around, the realities and around the new facts that we were introduced to, that we understood, and that we had adopted. And it's not hard. It's not hard because it's the truth. whenever there's no story to spin. There is no, myth to go over, and it's just, how things work.
Yes.
It's physics, it's organic chemistry, it's biology, it's science. Now, science doesn't cook or doesn't create great dishes or great drinks. But you need science to help you get there. I mean, you do it as a person. Your smell, your taste buds, your curiosity about flavors is what's going to get you from point A to point B. But if moving things from point A to point B is a pain, then you end up giving up. If it's easy, if it's easier, if it's explainable, if it's tangible, if it's accurate, if it's measurable, then you have something to work with.
Yes.
And this is what we had, the opportunity that this technology gave us.
Do you think that that's the part of being a craft distiller, that the craft is in using your talent, using your nose, your palate, your artistic license to create a new drink? That's craft?
Yes, and I would add philosophy there. I would add business ethic. I could, I think at least I'm a smart person. I could find, shortcuts to certain things. As a person, I choose not to. And that's why I'm going to drive, 50 miles to go to the mountains to find that one lady that cultivates this beautiful sage that I'm using, instead of going to the supermarket and buying in bulk from God knows where. So it's not, the technology is there to help you find time to do this. The technology allows you to be able to deal with the detail rather than, slap everything together and push it out. It's there to make you a better distiller. It's make you a better person as well, because now you have time to be, to deal with details and not to try to brush everything under the rug.
Any advice you would give to someone starting out as a craft distiller, where you would say, this is my tip for you, this was my eye-opener during my journey in becoming a craft distiller?
Two eye-opening moments for me. But what is important is that, if you're going to start something, you cannot give up, and you have to find a way to make it work, and work in a substantial way, because as I said earlier, you don't bring in just a product. You bring in part of your personality, part of your location, your surroundings, your environment. You bring in a lot of your ethic and your wits. So it's a combination of all, and that's why I think that it was key for me to adopt the iStill technology, because it allowed me to bring all the other factors into the mix and not having to sacrifice something. So that's I don't know if I answered the question, but that's what came out of my mind right now.
I think you answered the question. So
I don't know. Open minds are very important. The willingness to try, the willingness to go against the current. I was listening to this new distillery being built somewhere, not in Cyprus, but abroad, where expensive equipment was purchased, and I was thinking, well, somebody didn't do their homework, right? The ability to distinguish between what you do and what you should have done under the peer pressure from the industry, like fancy, I don't know. It's what distinguishes you as a distiller. You'd rather stick with a great product rather than fancy equipment. That's the bottom line here. I'll take that anytime.
yeah, I think that's a great sentence to end on. Thank you very much for taking the time to talk to me.
Thank you.
I wish you all the best of luck with your products. I can't wait to taste another gin coming from you guys, because I can assure everybody watching that the first one is absolutely amazing and unlike any gin I've ever had.
Thanks very much, Sebastian. Take care.